Yes, guys, welcome back to DR Sports for your morning transfer news update. A couple of bits and bobs to fill you in with, including Johan Wissa, Benjamin Sesko now being a target for Manchester United. And after talks with a team in Turkey, it looks like Carl Walker-Peters goes to West Ham as a right back. Let's get into this one. Smash that like button, get your comments in. Don't forget, we'll be back live at 5 from the studio. Just on the fallout quickly before we go on to the other stuff between Liverpool and Newcastle, it's believed that the Newcastle owners would refuse to sell Isak even if he was to hold talks with the Premier League champions Liverpool. Sounds good, that. Isak's camp apparently is upset over a lack of new deal. His contract, as we know, still has 3 years left on it. But could that affect his relationship with the club going forward? The fact that his team are looking for a new deal, but they're not offering it to him yet. And as we know, Liverpool are still pushing for Ekitike, who is eager to join the Reds, the champions again. Sounds nice. We'll be looking to tie that one up as soon as possible with what's coming up next week. The team fly to Asia on Sunday. I fly on Wednesday, so I'll look forward to linking up with the boys. But now Newcastle are pushing very hard for Johan Wissa. But as we said on the show yesterday, the way this transfer rumour is currently set up, with the context around it, knowing that Brighton have a new manager, knowing that Mbeumo is looking very likely now to go to Manchester United, Newcastle will have to push very hard for this one, really, because Johan Wissa is a very, very good player. 20 goals in the Premier League season, as we know. There's obviously a very strong return, and in terms of what that makes you worth in the market is a separate question. But because the Spurs are looking at him as well, Thomas Frank wants to reunite with Wissa, how much would it cost the Geordies to get this one over the line? Let me know in the chat right now, and how difficult is this going to prove to be? Johan Wissa will easily get his head turned. With all due respect to Brighton, he will get his head turned by Newcastle. But because they themselves are looking to cash in the absolute maximum for Mbeumo, because they've also had a £35 million bid rejected for Amari Hutchinson, I think this one actually could look to be a really difficult deal to actually get over the line. Wissa himself, a very tricky player to play against. And when you look at the options up front for Newcastle next season, we'll start left to right. We'll go Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side. Isak through the middle. Obviously, Callum Wilson has now gone. But on the right, Ilanga, and you could have Johan Wissa. What happens to Jacob Murphy in that situation as well? But they're still looking for another striker. As much as we can laugh and joke that Newcastle keep their man, killer man Isak, at the same time, they did want Ekitike. He didn't want them. He's now, pushing for a move to Liverpool. But Johan Wissa, where would he play for Newcastle? Would it be that right-hand side? They've now brought in, if they do bring Wissa in, 2 right wingers who are very direct and forward, which is great because in the Champions League, you need 2 options in every position. With the Cups as well, they'll be looking to retain the Carabao Cup. But Johan Wissa, where does he play for Newcastle? And would he even start above Elanga? Because when you look at their numbers last season, Wissa is, I think Elanga scored 8 goals altogether. He's scoring 19-20 in the Prem alone, Johan Wissa. So there's actually an argument to say if he does come into Newcastle, he starts ahead of Anthony Elanga. But anyway, I think this deal is far from done. There's still obviously 5-6 weeks left of the window. And actually, I think this one could actually prove the toughest one to crack because of Brentford's reluctance to just keep letting their best players go. They've just left their best manager in their history, by the way, to go to Tottenham, who still want him. So where will Johan Wissa end up? Is it Tottenham Hotspur, or is it Newcastle United, or is it Brentford? Let me know. They're going to be very keen to get as much money in as possible. I think the way this one ends is Newcastle just walk away from this one. Brentford are going to play very tough. And actually, they probably could get more money from Tottenham as well. So we'll see about that one, right? Let us know in the chat. Let's go to Arsenal. A lot of transfers due to be announced soon, but a little bit of stalling maybe. Victor Gyokeres' house in Portugal, this is a good one, was spotted with furniture being packed up. Somehow that's made it into the news. I mean, if a player is due to leave a country and go to a next country, then yeah, obviously his furniture is going to be packed up. His bits and bobs are going to be in big cardboard boxes outside. But his agents are still in London, as I broke an AGT exclusive on the show on Wednesday. I showed you that picture, didn't I, where he was with a rep who said the deal was going to be completed in the next 24 hours. But there's almost a little bit of a queue situation going on here. Who do they want to actually announce first? Let us know in the chat. Is it Madueke? Is it Mosquera? Is it Gyokeres? There's going to be a lot of announcements to come for Arsenal. It's going to be a busy time. But it is also believed that the Portuguese club are being very specific over the add-ons. Yes, they've dropped the price. Yes, they've almost stopped fighting internally now of Gyokeres, and they're looking to actually get this deal done. But they're not going to make it easy for Arsenal. It looks like this one does get announced in the next week or so. But when it says they're being very specific with add-ons, how do you read that at home? Let me know in the chat. Is that appearances? Is it trophies? Is it goals that he scores? They obviously want to get the add-ons reached in a fairly easy way, so they're going to try and, you know, almost lowball Arsenal with these very specific add-ons that will actually amount to a very big sum of money, which obviously pushes up the value and the fee that they receive for Victor Gyokeres. Arsenal have also agreed to sign the 17-year-old striker Will Wright. The teen was being chased by many other Premier League clubs, but Arsenal seem to have won the race there. Will he be involved in the squad next season? And as I mentioned, Madueke and Mosquera to be announced very soon. Let's go to Manchester United, who did submit that new bid from Bomo yesterday, which was believed to be 65 million plus 5 million in add-ons. And they are awaiting Brentford's response. They haven't even replied. They haven't accepted it or rejected it. They're just sitting on it, saying, let's frustrate them a little bit more. They took over a month to send this bid in, messing around, going back and forth, not really showing a lot of purpose and an intent to get the deal done quickly. They were messing us around with the fee. So we'll just ignore the email for a bit. But should the Bees accept that? I think they finally got what they wanted, which was 70 million, broken into obviously a fixed fee and a sign-on, or added fee, I should say. But should the Bees accept that, they're actually as well linked Manchester United to Nicholas Jackson. We spoke about that on the show yesterday with Flex. He just about accepted it as being a better option than what they currently have. But his links to Villa seem a lot stronger. So if you are an Aston Villa fan here in the chat, how would you be happy with Nico Jackson coming into the club, knowing that obviously Ollie Watkins is very heavily linked for a move away? But this is the interesting one now. Benjamin Sesko, linked to Manchester United, believed the player would be open to the move despite no European football. And this comes after, as we know, the long-awaited saga between Arsenal and Sesko finally finished. Arsenal closed the door because of the transfer for Gyokeres and because of the price. Leipzig were obviously, you know, coming up with some crazy numbers that I don't think anyone would link together with the player. But he still wants to move. You know, you don't get linked all summer to the Arsenals, the Liverpools, etc. without actually getting your move. So Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United, would that be a better option than Nico Jackson, who is now Premier League proven, albeit, you know, he hasn't set the world alight. But Sesko, would you want him, United fans? Let us know in the chat. Garnacho, Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, Malacia all reported to Carrington yesterday, by the way. It was reported also yesterday that Sancho himself has agreed personal terms with Juventus, so we'll see how that one ends up. But they were all at training yesterday. Where does their future lie? In other news, Roma looking to sign Evan Ferguson of Brighton on loan with an option to buy. We know the forward who came through into the Premier League scene as the next Harry Kane. But at the same time, he had a very disappointing season last year at West Ham. He's had a fall from grace, really, honestly, since he's first burst onto the scene. At that time, he was rumoured to be £100 million. But Roma, I think this is a great move for him. Get out there, you know, show what you can do. Look at the likes of Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore, Tammy Abraham, Tomori, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They've all gone out to Italy and had, you know, great success. So if I was him, I'd be straight on that plane to Roma and trying to do the business in the Serie A and Europe as well. On Inter Milan, whilst we stay in Europe, Inter have informed Atalanta of an opening bid of 40 million euros for Ademola Lookman. They're holding out Atalanta for at least 50, but Lookman wants to leave Atalanta as he hopes a deal can be worked out. Honestly, if he's worth 40 to 50 million pounds, let's say 50 million euros, which is probably around about 41, 42 million pounds, everyone should be in for him. I was in Dublin for the final of the Europa League last season. The fella scored a hat-trick. I thought he'd move then. But if I was Arsenal, looking at this one, that's a steal, in my opinion. Go and get him, as well as other clubs that are looking at wingers as well in the Premier League. But Inter have made that opening bid. So let us know in the chat, where should Ademola Lookman end up? And finally, Kyle Walker-Peters has joined West Ham on a 3-year deal. Originally, it was supposed to be going to Besiktas, but the move was called off in the last minute. He was actually in Turkey, but the fullback now accepts West Ham, and the formal steps will follow soon after. Where does that leave Aaron Wan-Bissaka, by the way? Is that just two good right-backs to have as options, or does he get pushed out of the side? And he was actually probably one of their only good players last season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, in terms of West Ham, who did have a very, very forgettable season, as we know. So let us know, where does... well, obviously, we know Kyle Walker-Peters is going to now end up at West Ham, which is a really good move for him. But where does Sesko end up? Where does Nico Jackson end up? And where does Yohan Wissa end up as well? Let us know in the chat. And don't forget, we'll be back at 5. And it will be live for more stories then. But in the meantime, smash that like button, get your comments in. And subscribe to DR Sports if you haven't already. All the best.